Hey guys, Luxgur here. Welcome to the first bonus episode of Xenosaga Pied Piper fan recreation. In today's video, I want to go back to my old bios in my Let's Play and redo them. Ever since I have made the bios, a lot of stuff from the fan recreation has been changed or patched out. From skills that were added or changed, to stuff about the character's gameplay that I discovered outside of the bios, to making the character's text or ether easier to understand. I promised you all this since episode 9, and now I will deliver that video. Hope you all enjoy it. Without further ado, let's roll out! Starting with Xenosaga. He has the highest strength, vitality, and HP in the entire game. However, he doesn't have the best EP or ether growth, and kind of suffers getting many strong attacks out because of it. He starts out with some strong techs like Painkiller, and then later on learns Recover HP, which has him heal himself or other characters with a gradual amount of HP over several turns. Depending on which skill tree you get in the game, you can start at the top tree to have him be more offensive, with being able to cast Recover EP and heal EP each turn, as well as have access to very strong attacks, which I will get into later. The bottom tree makes him more of a supportive character, and gives him stat buffs to the rest of the party. He can also lower the stats of enemies with Fist Down and Soul Down. He has enemies focus on him, which is very good early game so enemies will not attack Melis or Lactus. Royal Guard is one of the best self-support moves because not only does it cast the focus status, but you can guard enemy attacks as well, which is something Heat won't do. When grinding for skill points later in the game, Royal Guard is pretty necessary to have the other characters cast really strong attacks. I personally recommend going for the lower path first out of the way to get access to stat buffing moves like offensive and defensive. Yan's stats are much more suited for support, and it makes Yan useful for casting them without dying too quickly. Otherwise, he has really strong techs on other skills like Double Break, which is the strongest tech in the game, and Road Rage, which is a physical tech that can hit all enemies. On the other part of the skill tree, Yan can learn Revert, which is an ether art that can raise allies up from incapacitation. It's not really a great ether art in my opinion, because the character doesn't get a lot of HP from getting revived, and it would be better just to use a revive item. Overall though, Yan is very capable of taking hits, and providing some really good support for allies at the end of the day. Melis! She's a character who mainly focuses on having really high ether attack and EP, and using those stats to her advantage. Her main weaknesses is not having a lot of HP and attack power to be able to survive hits much, and not really use her physical attacks to her advantage. She not only can learn a lot of ether attacks such as Medica, Revert, and Beam Bolt while leveling up, her skills make her more flexible in what kinds of ether types she can use. We already know that the 4 elemental types in Pied Piper are Fire, Ice, Thunder, and Beam. 3 skill trees make her learn all of those ether types, but they cost a lot of SP to use. The way to have her be more efficient with these ether skills is to learn all the weak elemental attacks for fire, ice, and electric for one enemy, and then for multiple enemies at the next turn. Then focus on the skill trees that focus on Melis getting ether attack and EP growth boosts. Firebolt and Lightning Bolt trees provide just those stat boosting increases. The top tree for the most part is just incredibly useless, and that's because it is mostly dominated by what I feel are useless ether moves on Melis like Goodbye, Refresh, and Ether Well. All that Goodbye does is give you a guaranteed runaway from a fight, which you don't get experience for. Refresh cures all allies of status inflictions, which Lactus already uses just fine, and he learns that move from one of his skill trees anyways, and is much more useful for that matter. And Ether Well is a one-time ether restorer, which the Kachik Neck can do much better with restoring ether on a gradual basis anyways. And you can only use it on yourself, which is not remotely helpful anyways. However, I did say mostly in the beginning, because the top part of the skill tree has probably her best stat buffing move in the game called Blood Dancer, which increases both attack and ether attack power in battle. This ether, when used correctly with buffs, can really decimate boss fights and make enemy resistances seem negligible. I actually recommend getting this skill after getting all the weak ether skills learned, because they end up making her attacks much stronger than even going up to level 2. Overall, Melis's skill trees are decent, but she can be hard to use until Chapter 2 when you have better access to Blood Dancer, and have her ether attacks be more destructive. Then, one of my favorite Xenosaga characters can be a force to be reckoned with. I want to go ahead and talk about Lactus a little bit more. He is known for having the highest agility and luck in the game, but also capable of doing multiple hits of damage to get the BP bar up even higher in battle. His main weaknesses are his low HP and fragile vitality and ether defense. You would want Lactus to not be hit by too many attacks, or he goes down very quickly. It is all thanks to Jackal, which is one of the best physical attacks in the game in terms of BP growth. It is a pretty low EP move that can hit twice in battles, but can get you more BP than any other tech that you can get right now. Lactus also learns offensive ether, but it's only really useful early on in the game when Yan doesn't have much support ether to use. Lactus can also learn quick as an exclusive move that only he can learn that raises agility for all allies. This is very useful for him exclusively so he can get as many jackals off as he can before enemies attack him. The top skill tree is one of the best skill trees in the game, and you want to prioritize this one above all else. Let's start with Confiscate, which you already know how useful it is. It steals enemy and boss items and equipment, and that's it. We have already seen how extremely important this tech is, so let's go to the next tech. Refresh is actually really useful to have on Lactus. He has a lot of healing ether to use, and he usually goes first in battle to use healing ether, which is why having Refresh is so useful. It is low EP, and it works on everyone to cure their status inflictions. Phantom is one of the best arts in the game because it is basically a free physical attack that also has the effect of recovering EP from using it. Blood Dancer, which I already mentioned in Melis's skill tree about how amazing this move is a great extra addition to his attack power, along with having the offensive buff, can really make Jackal hit incredibly hard. And finally, the last great tech he has is Jackal 2. Probably the best physical attacking art in the game. Just wait until you see how much damage this does if you think Jackal is broken already. Revert is probably the only art in this tree that isn't useful at all, but come on. This tree is amazing for not only gaining a little bit of agility and EP to use for Jackal 2, and even make Jackal 2 more powerful with Blood Dancer, but everything else that just makes Lactus a complete monster. But wait, what about the other two skill trees? Yeah, I don't find them particularly useful because Melis already is the ether dealing party member already. It has some neat attack and agility stat increases, which is probably the only good parts about him. It's not that his ether attack stat is bad, don't get me wrong. It's just that, why would you do damage with ether when you got Jackal already doing the damage for you? Overall, Lactus is an incredible party member right out of the gate with chances to get special attacks off very quickly. Just don't really teach him many ether moves. Bugs is the jack of all trades of the party. Every stat is evenly distributed all throughout, but it also doesn't have a lot of strengths or weaknesses either, whether they are useful in battle or not. When you get Bugs, he learns only lightning and beam ether attacks while leveling up, which makes sense because it's a robot. Let's start talking about Bugs' skills, which you can already see how extremely long they are compared to the other characters' skill trees. The bottom tree is really not worth going for. The only other ethers it can learn are Offensive, Soul Down, and Royal Guard. And I don't think Bugs is a good user of support moves despite its stats being decent all around. And all of these are much better suited for Yan. But you can make its stats better in this tree because that is all that it really has. Moreover, not super useful. The top skill tree is where you want to focus your SP on. Bugs can learn powerful attacks like B-Axe and a good variety of good fire attacks like Cannon and A-Burst. Which those fire attacks will end up being more useful to get because even though they are weaker than the strongest Flame Bolt, they cost less EP to use, and it actually hits pretty decently thanks to Bugs' alright special attack stat. I will say that there is a whole lot of baggage and stat boosts in both skill tree lines in general, so I generally think Bugs just gets the short end of the stick in the party in terms of skill trees, and just leaves a lot to be desired. I mean, Bugs can't even learn a single ice move to have it be an all-around jack-of-all-trades. I'm sorry I keep making fun of you, Bugs, but unfortunately, the lack of being a complete jack-of-all-trades makes it a pretty situational playable character, and only useful as an additional robot for the job. Which kind of makes sense when you think about how he is only meant to be a support alongside the main group, and just nothing else. And that's it for the redone bios. If you happen to like these bios and haven't watched my Let's Play yet, what have you been doing? Go watch them now! Anyways guys, thanks for watching. We got a couple more bonus videos to go. Until next time, see you on the other side!